Hello, gorgeous soul. Welcome to Susie's Enchanted Crossroads. I'm Susie, and this podcast helps you navigate your journey through the crossroads by taking a deeper look into witchcraft and spirituality. So settle in, grab your beverage of choice, and let's get this episode going. Hello, gorgeous souls out there. I don't know about y'all, but I am a sleepy. I am a sleepy one. Didn't have really the best sleep, and some of y'all can resonate with me out there. Just my cramps kept waking me up. So, however, I am excited to close up our series on our clairs, right? That we've been discussing, that I've been discussing and telling you about. Hopefully, I don't stumble on my words too much this episode, but I was ready to, well, I am ready to really get into the four lesser known clairs. I already had my coffee this morning and I'm trying to be really good and I'm drinking my water. So, on that note, why don't we all take a sip on whatever beverage of choice y'all are having with me today? It is hot AF outside. We had a storm roll in. Apparently, my bubble here, we only got like 2 minutes of storm and the rest was just dirt. It's hot outside. It's humid. I'm staying nice and cozy inside as I talk to you about this series on our psychic abilities. All right. So, in the previous episodes, if you haven't heard them, I would go back to those because those episodes, I'm really breaking down the four clairs that everyone has known and heard about. And these next ones, I'm going to put them all in one episode because they're lesser known, but I found them very, very interesting and I wanted to share that with you. All right, so let's get it started here. So we have clair gustinance. And this is a clear sense of taste. So this is being able to like taste something without eating something, right? Like you're not actively like eating something for you to taste it. And I'm just like, that's freaking rad. So people with this ability may say that they can taste, I don't know, they're not a smoker, but they can taste either a cigarette in their mouth or a certain type of cigar. And maybe that is something, if they're doing a reading with someone, maybe a client's, I don't know, ancestor was a smoker or someone in your family was a smoker, let's just say for just for that, right? And you can just really get this strong sense of taste in your mouth before even tasting it, right? So maybe your grandmother used to bake you your favorite cookies. And just for no apparent reason, you're out and about and you just get this taste of that. I don't know, let's just say that super moist, just amazing taste of that chocolate chip cookie that your grandma made. And it's just something about it is just so distinct and different from any other chocolate chip cookie. And in that moment, maybe that is your sign, like, you know what, my grandma's around, or maybe you needed to be comforted. Whatever the case may be, you had that sense of taste. And I'm just like, that is, I don't know. I've never really had clairgustance. I know that when I taste something, it's that when I'm receiving that taste, right? It'll take me to a place, right, where I can remember a memory comes through. But I don't really, I can't, and I was trying to think, have I ever had this come through for me as far as taste? And I really can't think of a time where I would taste something and it wasn't because it was, I was actively eating something. So again, and also, if you have any of these clairs, hit me up because I would love, love, love to hear from you. All right, so that's clairgustinance. So let me go ahead and talk to you about the next Claire. And the next Claire is Claire salience. And this is a clear sense of smell. So you can actually get information from your sense of smell, even though it's not there. So this one I do have. It's not my strongest, but I have smelled something and I'm like, that is a familiar smell. Or if I'm in a regular room and all of a sudden I get a whiff of florals when there's no one around that has wearing perfume, there's no plants or anything. Well, what was that? Like, who was that passing through? So maybe again, you've caught a whiff of maybe your grandfather's cologne, right? And you're just sitting on the sofa watching yourself some Netflix, whatever, right? It's not like you're actively trying to channel, or maybe you are actively trying to channel. And when you do channel your grandma, that made you those amazing chocolate chip cookies, you can actually smell it, right? Now, again, these scents don't normally linger. It's just long enough for you to notice them and then it's gone, which for me, oh, I still do get frustrated. I would get frustrated because, like, wait, what's that scent again? Come back, because I'm trying to figure out what it is that scent is, or who it is, or what is trying to tell me, if anything. And I was reading up that normally, or I don't know about normally, right? But um, it's widely known, maybe I should say, that angels actually leave a floral scent when they visit. That way you know that they're nearby. Which to me, I'm like, oh wow, that's crazy. Now for me, for myself, and it just clicked to me literally right now as I'm speaking to you. I have a patron saint, and this patron saint is Saint Teresa. And she's known as the little flower. And when, she's around, you either smell roses or you see them because, it rained petals of flowers. And hello, I probably should have put those two and two together, but I don't actively or haven't really actively prayed to her. I do have her statue. So maybe that's coming through for me. Maybe that's something I will personally look into. But that is clairsentience, and it's very similar to that clairgustance, where this is the sense more for mediumship, um, and it's more, I guess, an effective way to maybe recognize if a soul is really, coming through or contacting you. So if clairgustance is that clear tasting, right? And clear salience is that clear smelling. And they're one and two of the same. How can you develop these clairs a little bit better? So, in researching this, because honestly, like, I don't know, I kind of want to know. The research here says eat and smell a lot of different things. This is a great excuse to go, for example, wine tasting as you practice smelling and tasting subtle differences between the wines. And I was like, that is fucking perfect for me because I never really was a big wine drinker. My parents are. But now I'm really getting like I'm refining my taste, you know? And even if you're not into wine and you do consume alcohol, just tasting different notes, even like a whiskey, because I'm a whiskey girl myself. So, tasting the different types of whiskey and like the subtle just notes that you can pick up. And I always thought that those that would drink wine or like were really amazing people that would try these different alcohols, right? Because I've even seen it with whiskey where they swirl it in the cup and they take that deep breath and like, notes of the oak from the barrel that I was sitting in for, I don't know, 11 years. You know what I mean? I'm like, cool, tell me more. And them actually tasting, the subtle citrus notes in this wine just makes it a real full body wine. I couldn't tell you any of that. Like I know when I taste it, I like it. So I do want to practice that. Now, this next one, I personally, this is like a no for me because it'll just trigger my allergies. I already know, unless I'm real careful with it, but you can actually smell a range of different perfumes. And I'm assuming this is going to also colognes as well. So, and this reminds me of when you go to up I don't know, you walk into Ulta, I guess, and they have that perfume section and they have, the little, and I never understood, I was like, why do they have coffee beans here? But that's like to cleanse your nasal palate and just like smelling the different types of perfume and the cologne makes sense on how you can develop at least this clair of smelling, right? So that I personally would just have to be careful because sometimes like some of the really floral perfumes can really get me. So I'm like, I'll be sneezing, get a big old sinus headache. But this is just to give you some examples, right? Because I wasn't sure either. Let's see. Another reason, so I'm just reading straight off. I'm reading, who is this? The Forgotten Clairs by Anna Sayence, Sayce, because I was like trying to figure out like the differences between these two, especially because they're lesser known. But she states, and um, I lost because I was trying to scroll. Here we go. I was like, who was this from? It says the more you give your nose and taste buds a workout, the bigger difference you will have to receive psychic information. How will you know spirit sent you the smell of a sardine if you've never smelt one before? It's also a good idea to really make the effort to try and separate ingredients. Throwing your food down in record time, like Homer Simpson, probably won't help. So take your time eating and thinking about the flavors and smells when it comes to what you are eating and I guess smelling. Very interesting. And I think this is beautiful because when I was in college taking contemporary dance, our professor actually told us when you sit down for a meal, doesn't matter what it is, breakfast, lunch, dinner. She's like, I want you to really be in the moment, really be present. So it is just you and your meal. No phone, no TV, no music, just you and the food. And she was like, whether you make it or not, really use all of your senses in encapsulating this meal, right? Even if it's just toast. How does it feel when you pick it up with your fingers? What does it smell like? What does it look like? And when you take a bite and you taste it, really, tasting the different notes. And I thought that was amazing because you're really tuning into your senses, which makes sense, right? Another exercise is trying to remember what something smells or tastes like without the food or the scent, right? So, this person, Anna says, imagine that you've just eaten a lemon. That may get your mouth watering. The memory of the smell and the taste of the lemon is an indication of what the psychic equivalent may be like for you. Run through as many smells and tastes as you can think of: cigarettes, whiskey, cupcake, toothpaste, anything of those, and remembering what it smell and tastes like and seeing if you can actually smell it, if you can actually taste it. Isn't that wild? Then Anna proceeds to say that you can get help from the spirit world to sit quietly for a few moments and ask one of your past family members or friend to send you a smell that relates to them, Right? Or maybe ask your spirit guides to send you a smell or send you a taste to remind you of something. I thought that was really freaking cool. So that's a way that you can kind of test your skills and really develop these two skills of clairgustance and clairsalience. I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know about you. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. Um, clair empathy. And this is a clear sense of emotional feeling. Okay. And this is something that you can detect through your emotions. Now, this is where I was like, okay, is this emotion like being an empath? But apparently it is different. Empathy is a normal human emotion and being an empath, right? So being to actually feel the emotions of other people can be relatively difficult. Clear empathy is different. It means that you're able to feel emotions in advance or being able to feel the emotions of others where they're nowhere near you. Okay. So with this, Claire, I really had to sit with it because I was like, okay, if I'm gonna go with Claire, this sense of smell with Claire aliens, right? And I can understand smelling of fragrance or food. And I can get with Claire gustance, right? Because it's that clear tasting, certain dishes, or I can remember something my grandma made, which is normally what I that comes through for me, especially for my grandmother making Spanish rice. I can never make it like her. But when it comes out that way, I immediately think of her. So, what is the difference between clairsentience and clairempathy? Because if you remember in the past episode, clairsentience is that physical feeling, right? You can feel someone else's energy. You can feel if something's not right. I don't know. You can feel other people's ailments, emotions that they're going through, right? Clear empathy is actually the perception or awareness of the emotional energy. And this is where I'm like, how are they not the same? But they're not the same. So it's, in other words, it's the empath senses you're aware of other people's thoughts, emotions, but doesn't necessarily feeling them physically. Okay. So to be an empath, right? To have a clear empath, when you walk into a room, you immediately know if the other person is present, whether it's in a physical or emotional, right? You can enter an environment where an argument has taken place, and you can just sense the residual energy there, the anger from that argument, or maybe the hurt. Okay. When you go to a place, I don't know. I'm trying to think right off the bat. Um, I don't know, a haunted house. You can feel or sense the fear of or the horror of that place. So the difference between clairsentience and clairempathy is clairsentience is the ability to not only sense but physically feel the energy, where clairempathy is the ability to sense or be aware of the energy without necessarily feeling it physically. I hope that makes sense because this is one where I was like, what now? Like, I was like, excuse me. Like, I was really trying to understand those two. They're very similar, but also very, very different. And I'm hoping I'm getting that difference out pretty well here. What else? I'm trying to figure out another way I can say this, but maybe that's where I need to stay, right? Because being able to feel emotions in advance, I'm not sure how you can really test that out without you feeling attached to it, because you may be able to channel the emotions of maybe lost loved ones, right? Or maybe channeling in how someone else maybe felt in their childhood. Maybe you can really develop this clear empathy on maybe how events on how you might feel in the future. And it's something that's hard to explain, just like claircognizant, like you just know it. But it could also manifest as knowing like something is wrong before, of something is wrong with a loved one before even knowing it, right? It's like you can sense their sadness and grief. It's not your sadness and grief. So there we are on um the differences between clairsentience and clair empathy. So I hope that was a little clear. Let me know. And you can also, of course, like I always say, please um do your own research. But if this is something that you would really like to hone into, one thing for myself, I'm like, I not that, no one else loves going to hospitals, right? But in my family, there was just a lot of death when I was younger. And so I already get just this feeling of dread anytime I have to go to the hospital. But that's my feeling of dread. So for me, I would have to put those feelings aside if I was going to read the energy of people there in the room beforehand. Maybe that's not the best explanation, but it's just that knowing and sensing of other people's feelings and energy, and they are not reading as your own. Whereas, you can feel it within yourself, like, ooh, something's gonna happen. Like you actually feel it on your body, and that's your clairsentience. Okie dokie. And then we have clairtangency, which is a clear sense of touch. Oh, Cody just woke up from his nap. So thinking of if you've ever held maybe like if you go to an antique store and you hold something in your hand and just feel like um you feel that energy and a story comes into your mind, you might be experiencing that clairtangency. So if you have clairtangency, you're able to hold an object and maybe you can tell how many hands have maybe touched that object, or sometimes if you go to a medium, they might ask you to bring an object related to the person you're trying to connect to. So anything, any belongings of theirs, right? Or a gift they may have given you, something that actually has their energy on them. And sometimes it's even as easy as a picture. This is because those that have a clairtangency and they're strong in this, they have that sensitive sense of touch of energy when they pick up objects with their hands. And I think that's fucking cool as shit. I think all of these are cool because, they're one of the lesser knowns, but just honestly, just picking something up, I think that's fucking impressive to have, that when you hold on to something, you're connecting with not only the energy of the object, but of whoever else may be held on to it. So there's clairtangency for you. I think the ones that I was like, you know what, I can possibly do this. I can really, get into, or I guess it's the easiest, is, the clear sense of tasting and smelling. Because if I'm going through this clear tangency, that's going to, pretty much be work for me as far as holding on to an object and not just feeling the object's energy, right? It's really, really important to note that you are really having that natural ability to hold on to it and sense the other's energies going through it. I think that's amazing. In order to connect. I know this is one I would have to really, really work on as far as clairtangency. Maybe it's not as hard, right? That's just my logical brain getting into it. It's really just breaking it down, right? Am I feeling physical feelings when I see the pictures or the emotions that are not mine, right? Separating yourself. And just like all these other clairs, it's beautiful to ways to explore and to develop all of these clairs. And knowing to be patient and knowing that you need to be open to receiving, not fearing it, accepting it, practicing, because you can't, develop something right off the bat, especially if it's something you've been putting off, or maybe you had a fear about it, or someone told you that it was wrong. But really practicing it with confidence. So I'm just going to run through one last time all the clairs that we've discussed, not in order, but just we talked about clairvoyance, the sense of vision, right? Clairgustinance, the sense of taste. Clairsalience, the sense of smell. Clairaudience, the sense of hearing. Claircognizance, sense of knowing. Clairsentience, the sense of feeling, okay, through your body. Clairempathy, clear sense of emotional feeling. Clairtangency, the clear sense of touch. This is super cool. I hope you enjoyed it and enjoyed learning as much as I did. And if you resonate with any of these lesser known clairs, please let me know. I'm super interested. And you know me, I love being a student and I love learning. If you have ways, if you're very strong in one of these clairs and there's ways on how you develop them or ways that you really exercised that clair so that you can be stronger in it, let me know. Like, hit me up. And if you have any questions or an idea for another topic, let me know. There's a link in the show notes that will open up a form. Just fill that form out and I will receive it. You can also hit me up through email. I love reading your emails. So I love reading all your messages. It makes me happy and it's nice to know that people are out there listening. Like I know I check the stats and obviously I see people following and downloading, which like thank you so much. But like hearing from you makes it like, yeah, those are some real ass people. So you can send me an email, susie'senchanted crossroads@gmail.com, and hit me up on my socials. I'm on TikTok as well as Instagram. I am available for personal tarot readings as well as Reiki energy sessions. So, again, just hit me up. I have a lot of links up in my bio. And if you leave me a review, I'd greatly appreciate it. That way, this little podcast gets pushed out into the ether and reaches more people. I love to help everybody out. All right, gorgeous soul. Until next time, I will see you at the crossroads.